R.A.P podcast.
And speaking of, who this Awkwafina chick?
Awkwafina.
Her name, Shorty's name is Awkwafina.
All right, so I did a thing on my Instagram about Awkwafina because she got accused of basically using a black scent.
Have you heard this story?
No.
She's Asian American. I think her descendant. She might be like Japanese, Korean, something like that.
Isn't she from like New York? Like
she's from Brooklyn or the Bronx. She was raised there, so she doesn't have a black scent. She's New York.
She sounds like Jadakiss.
And which is endearing because she's very her, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so she got accused of it by people that don't know this backstory of her. She had to come out and apologize and like took off her Twitter and shit.
Did it turn out she doesn't really have the Jadakiss accent? Like
no, she just talks like it's like Eminem. It's like because I talk with an accent and grab on my balls. Like that's just who you are, bro. That's just who you are.
Yo, Valentine's Day, she calls you like, yo, what up, son? Hey, we finna meet at the restaurant. Yo, I'm about to be at the Olive Garden, God.
Oh, God.
Wow. Yo, is she bad?
Yo, grab me some biscuits. One.
Is she bad, though? Is she a baddie? Like,
yo,
she's not bad. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I would, but... we both like, hey, you know, at the end.
Is culture specific to anybody, or are you allowed to partake of it?
Man,
see, here's the thing. Here's the thing that kind of catches me off, right? When the Marvel movies, they had Black Panther came out, right? Fire movie, by the way.
Great movie.
Shout out to Chadwick. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Shout out to everybody that was in that movie, right? So Black Panther comes out. It's a whole movement. I was actually touched. It's not my number one Marvel movie. It might be my favorite just because of the message, the portrayal, everything.
Yeah, the whole thing was amazing.
I felt something.
I thought
you know what I mean? When I watched it, I felt something.
I cried.
Now, Black folks community took it over. It was phenomenal. It was fantastic. End of the day, Black Panther was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, two white guys.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They created it, wrote them, created them from the ether. They created Hawkeye, that's played by old boy. And the whatchamacallit, they created the X-Men, which is just a metaphor for the Holocaust, like not the Holocaust, but a metaphor for civil rights.
Oh, okay.
Like Professor X is Martin Luther King. Magneto is Malcolm X. All the mutants are slaves. You know what I mean?
Wow,
Oh, so.
this.
And then the man, it got you.
But when it comes down to it, when they're talking about, all right, Awkwafina is still in the black scent, you could flip around, and if you Jack Kirby and you Stan Lee, rest in peace to both of them, you could be like, well, you still in our character.
And making a lot of money off of it, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's still whoever's running Marvel Studios. So are you allowed to share in other people's cultures? Is that diluting the cultures?
That's tough.
It's just so annoying.
I don't know. How do you feel about it? What do you think? Do you think is it wrong for those two white dudes to make that? What do you think about the situation?
I agree. I mean, it's people. You'll forget easily because most people probably don't know that it was created by two. But don't even ask the question.
Did they give other writers credit? Was there like other people, that were writing it with them, or they're just the ones that
they generated this stuff from back? This is back in the
That's
in
wild.
the 50s and 60s, bro. Like, so my thing is, I grew up in a military family. I grew up all around the world. I lived in Japan. I lived in like England, and I picked up a lot from other places. They pick up a lot from us. And especially these days now with social media and whatnot, and the whole world connectivity, you're gonna cross over into other people's cultures.
Right.
Like, what? Are you kidding me? I grew up on kung fu movies, Dragon Ball.
Culture's meant to be shared, bro.
You know what I mean?
Nothing's more. Like, this is a sign when you're like in Mexico, is like when you show up to my crib, like we'll give you a shot of tequila. It's just like, it's your first time at my crib. That's what we do. It's always about sharing. And if some white dude like, hey, I have tequila, this is what I do now, I feel like that's crazy. That's cool. Like, I don't think of it as like, oh, you're taking something that's mine. Maybe if it's like a sensitive from like a ritual or like a very like much more like connected to earth thing. And if you're not connected to earth and you're just using it because it looks cool, then it's like, okay, well, I can't really correct you, bro. This is your path in life. Whatever.
I would ask you, Eunice. So, my pop side of the family, everybody's out in Philly, going back and forth to Philly my whole life, right? A lot of big beards out there, a lot of 5%ers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That are a variant of the Islamic faith. There's some folks out there that believe, Black Israelites are the original.
Right.
This culture, that culture. But there's sections of the Muslim faith, especially out on the East Coast, that are follow probably a different edict, different rules.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
I think, what's interesting is Islam in America, the majority of Muslims in America are actually not Arab or brown or they're actually black. Like, if I don't know if you know this. So it's, I think being Muslim is not an Arab thing. Being Muslim is just a religion aspect. So, and if you go to Mecca, like, which is our holy land, like, it's people from like Malaysia, people from all over
everywhere.
And that's, I think, what even changed Malcolm X. Like, when Malcolm X went to Mecca, came back, he was a different person because he was like, oh, this is a human. Like, remember when Malcolm was like, super, like, I don't even want to talk to white people.
Absolutely.
Like, and it was, and I understand it, I get it. But then when he went to Mecca and came back, he was like, oh, this is bigger than that, and so I think that's what's beautiful about Islam. And I'm gonna try to convert you guys, honestly, at this point.
I got a holy Quran in the house.
Hey, go crazy.
Just to have it.
So it's beautiful to me to see that happen. It's beautiful to see like a Asian dude who's like, yeah, Muslim, he's speaking Arabic. Like, to me, I'm like, huh, he knows Arabic. Like, it's a beautiful feeling to me. You know what I mean?
How is Malcolm X viewed in the Arab culture? On that side.
I think him, Muhammad Ali. It was at
Ali
that time,
Boomba, yay, baby.
Like, Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali is
ride for Muslims love Muhammad Ali.
He's
wow.
He's the Venn diagram of all of it.
Yeah.
From black culture, American culture, Islam.
Yeah.
And then just fit in like that perfect amount of just all of it, and like
he's
a
a
great
hero.
dude. He's a hero, a legend.
So when
to
he
all
went
of
from
us.
Cassius Clay and said, "I'm not fighting in this war," and then changed
he was
his
a
name
principled
and then
man.
stood under persecution. That was big.
He was a principled man by everyone's principles, by American principles, by Islam's principles, and by just a
He was
human
one of the
principle.
greatest humans of all time.
Of course, legendary.
He's iconic.
Legendary.
But like he could go. I think, if I'm not mistaken, like some Arab country, like literally was like if he just showed up, he could sell out an arena just by him showing like he's
up.
just talking to the people. I think at one point, and this is like a real story, Saddam, because I'm from Iraq, Saddam had some American hostages. And
they sent Ali,
they
bro.
sent Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was so respected that a dictator in Iraq was like, Muhammad Ali asked me to let them go. I'm gonna let them go. Fuck America, but Muhammad Ali, we love him.
Wow.
That's how powerful Muhammad was, you know?
He's legend. He should have a fucking statue and a street named after him.
Yeah.
Every fucking city in this country.
So that's how we feel. You know, I think I can say I can speak for a lot of Muslims that say it's very beautiful to see people from all over. I think that's what makes it beautiful, and you know. So that's just my opinion.
So you're 25. So for the most part, 9/11 is like a history. It's just something in the past that happened, right? So I don't even necessarily know if you would remember time before that as opposed to after that.
Right.
Is there still remnants of that in the culture? Like when you talk to your family members, older people?
For me, when the word 9/11 comes, even though it happened, I think I was 4 when it happened.
Right.
But that one single event changed my whole life because of that, America attacked Iraq. You know what I mean? Like it was one of the premises of like they have weapons of mass destruction.
Changed your life completely.
Yeah, and
it changed your life completely.
And then it affected everything after that. Because then when I came to America after that whole journey of going from Iraq to Yemen, from Yemen to Jordan, because I was just a refugee, we're trying to get to safety because of the war. When I finally came to America, then it's like, oh, you're Arab, we hate you because you did 9/11. You know, it was like a lot of that feeling of like people would when they think of Arab and Muslim, they think of 9/11.
You should just be like, you should
Arab, Muslim, Pakistani, anybody that vaguely resembles.
Like, even people that weren't Muslim, Sikhs they're not Muslims. They were because they had the beard and they looked a little bit
Punjabi, anything is
So I know a lot of people that it changed. Like not me, but like I had uncles. I wouldn't say uncles, but like family friends that lived in the States who changed their name. Like they were Muhammad. Let's say that was their name. They became Mo. They used to have a beard, but they work in a corporate setting. They shaved their beard. That was like a real reality till this day.
You gotta survive, baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
You gotta
and
survive.
your beard's, if you're a staunch follower of the faith, and your beard's not supposed to be marred or anything like that, right?
It's not like a rule. It's not like if you're Muslim you have to have a beard, but it's because all the prophets had beards. So it's almost like you want to live in their footsteps, kind of their ethics. Or
Jesus had a gnarly beard.
Jesus had no beard from what we assume from the writing. But so I say that to say it definitely impacted the culture, and that's why it's beautiful now to see like the narrative get changed a little bit. To see like a show like Rami on, not our friend Rami, but the show Rami on Hulu,
Right.
and to see like Rami Malek played the dude from Queen. What's the movie? Bohemian Rhapsody. Like that's an Arab man. That's, you know what I mean. And he got an Oscar like as an Arab. I'm like, what? The narrative is changing. Like we're not just,
and Freddie Mercury, also Arab man.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
he was. What, they were Iranian?
I think Lebanese or Persian, a part of something.
See,
Something like this.
yeah.
But
Look it up.
So it's cool to see that happening, and I get a lot of messages from like Arabs or Muslims or whatever. They're like, dude, it's so cool to see a Muslim person, Arab person doing comedy, and it's like not the normal route. You know what I mean? I mean, in general, none of us. It's always interesting to see anybody become a comedian in any race, but it's like it's even a little bit more because it's the rarity of it within our culture and within.
Yeah, because it's giving you a platform to speak your mind under a culture, I think, that is kind of withholding some thoughts.
Facts.
We're like, so theatrical in America
that
if you get a chance to be on the spotlight and shine and be like, here's the highlights of this and that, you know what I mean? What my culture brings to the table, then it just makes it cool.
Yeah.
No.
And it, I hope it changed. Like, I don't think everyone should be a doctor. I don't think everyone should be like, in our culture, it's kind of like embedded, and I know a lot of cultures as well, like where it's like you got to be a doctor, engineer, and I'm like, not everyone should be a doctor. Like, if I was to become a doctor, you guys should be scared. You know what I mean? Like, I'm dumb as hell. Like, I'm not gonna be able to operate. Like, even
bro, I'm still tweaking off of 2019 to 2022. I don't want you clipping my fingernails, bro.
Real Rap podcast.